All right, delegates, let's get right into it. You've got a dense 15-page docket sitting in front of you with 14 different resolutions for Floor Committee 5 at the 2026 LCMS Convention. If you're heading to Phoenix to vote, consider this explainer your dedicated personal research assistant. Today, we are zeroing in on Floor Committee 5, that's Theology and Church Relations. And as we go through this, I want you to keep one simple, absolutely crucial guiding lens in mind. Do these resolutions actually help the Synod serve congregations, pastors, and missionaries for outward gospel witness? Or are they mostly just asking local ministries to prop up an inward-facing synodical structure? Ultimately, we are looking for kingdom over castle. To make sense of all this technical language, we're going to cluster these 14 resolutions into 4 easy-to-digest buckets: global fellowship and boundaries, the altar and lectern, gender, life, and bioethics, and then we'll wrap up with floor strategy and mechanics. Okay, starting macro. Section 1. Global Fellowship and Boundaries. These 3 resolutions are really the celebratory, bridge-building side of the committee. They're all about expanding the Synod's global mission reach and recognizing confessional unity abroad. Resolutions 501 and 502 actually officially authorize altar and pulpit fellowship with church bodies in Bolivia and Australia. And what this does is forge fellowship based on genuine confessional unity, which directly equips your congregations for outward witness by opening up brand new avenues for global mission partnerships. Then you have Resolution 503. This one's a Thanksgiving resolution offering solidarity and prayer for the mission province in Sweden as they maintain a faithful witness in a heavily secular society. Honestly, this is a perfect example of church relations serving the gospel and building genuine trust. But on the flip side, what happens when disagreements arise with partner churches? Well, Resolution 504 maps out the escalating disciplinary steps for addressing theological concerns to maintain ecclesiastical integrity. It delineates a clear process. It starts with fraternal admonition, moves to seeking clarification, and eventually, if it literally comes down to it, a recommendation to the convention to suspend fellowship. Now, from a delegate's perspective, evaluating this means asking the tough questions. Does this process reflect low control and high accountability? Does it balance fraternal pastoral care with firm doctrinal boundaries? When you're reviewing this on the floor, you really need to consider if the timeline for these steps is clear and if the process actually remains participatory, rather than just turning into a top-down administrative mandate. Moving closer to home, Section 2, the altar and lectern, a local parish focus. This right here brilliantly illustrates a major tension addressed in Resolution 505. It reaffirms historic closed communion practices, but it also directs the CTCR and the Council of Presidents to define what actually constitutes an extraordinary circumstance for pastoral exceptions. Now, the whereas clauses clearly anchor this in the scriptural teaching of examining oneself before receiving the Lord's Supper. But practically speaking, this resolution is entirely about pastoral care at the altar. It authorizes the creation of guidelines to help pastors who are navigating incredibly complex on-the-ground situations every single Sunday. So you have to ask, does this give pastors more support for faithful confession, or does it try to over-regulate their pastoral discretion? The key thing for delegates to watch will be exactly how extraordinary circumstances are defined, ensuring local pastors retain their discretion under proper episcopal supervision. Okay, so the crucial point of Resolution 509 is to clarify liturgical practice regarding the public reading of Scripture. And this raises some major implementation questions for congregations that are currently utilizing women lectors. The resolution states that pastors should normally read the Scripture, but it allows for qualified laymen in exceptional cases. Importantly, it explicitly discourages women from serving as lectors and directs the CTCR to study the matter. As a delegate, you really have to think about the so what here. How does this practically impact the congregations back in your district? Does the resolution clearly define what a qualified layman is? Does it offer any transitional guidance or pastoral care for parishes that currently have female lectors? Or does it lean heavily toward immediate institutional control? Let's take a quick breather for some history. To connect our local altars to historic orthodoxy, Resolution 5-13 pauses to give thanks for the 1700th anniversary of the First Council of Nicaea. This links our modern identity right back to historic creedal confession. It's a unifying Thanksgiving resolution that reminds the Synod that our doctrine isn't just rules, it's a living confession connected to the historic church, and that provides a rock-solid foundation for our outward gospel witness today. Zooming in even closer now, Section 3, Gender, Life, and Bioethics. These 2 resolutions focus heavily on catechesis. They direct seminaries and publishing houses to equip families and congregations against societal opposition regarding gender and vocation. Resolution 508 relies on previous CTCR reports to reaffirm complementary vocations for men and women. Then, Resolution 512 officially concludes the created male and female task force. For both of these, the actual mission impact hinges entirely on the resources they produce. Are they going to give local congregations and parents practical, accessible pathways for teaching their kids in a really confusing culture? As a delegate, you might want to look for floor amendments that set firm deadlines for these resources so they actually make it into the hands of the local parish. This foundational understanding of creation directly informs Resolution 511, which reaffirms the sanctity of human life regarding the incredibly complex bioethical and pastoral issues surrounding in vitro fertilization. Look, this isn't just some abstract ethical debate. This touches the deep, real pain of infertility experienced by many families sitting in your pews. The resolution applies both law and gospel, highlighting the vocation of parents to protect life. The critical question for you here is whether the Synod is actually providing adequate pastoral resources to counsel couples grappling with these realities, perhaps even encouraging beautiful pathways like embryo adoption. And because medical ethics move at lightning speed, Resolution 510 requires the CTCR to dedicate resources and expertise to help members navigate the realities of organ donation. This directly serves ordinary laypeople facing sudden, agonizing medical decisions right at the hospital bedside. When you're voting on this one, consider if the timeline and the scope of the CTCR's report are defined well enough to deliver this vital pastoral guidance before it's too late. Finally, let's talk logistics. Section 4, Floor Strategy and Mechanics. Whenever you are reviewing the docket, you always have to ask, what does each resolution actually authorize? Who gains responsibility? And how does it impact governance? Take Resolution 506, for example, which amends bylaws regarding CTCR advisory opinions. It modifies exactly how individuals can request these opinions from the CTCR. Whenever we look at bylaw changes, we literally have to trace the authority flow. Does this structural change reduce uncertainty and make responsibilities more transparent? Or does it shift authority in a way that limits local congregational access? Evaluating those structural incentives is a core duty of being a convention delegate. Think of this matrix as your ultimate convention cheat sheet. It cleanly separates the routine Thanksgiving items destined for the consent calendar from the high-impact doctrinal resolutions that are going to require serious floor debate and, frankly, financial budgets. Items like the Thanksgiving for Sweden or the anniversary of Nicosia, those will likely pass without a hitch. But resolutions on communion exceptions, women lectors, partner church discipline, and IVF, those will require your sharpest discernment. Plus, resolutions that direct the CTCR to perform major studies, like the one on organ donation, require a financial outlay. You have to make sure the Synod actually has the budget to back up the mandates it passes. Just look at the breakdown here. The vast majority of the 14 resolutions in Floor Committee 5, 8 of them, to be exact, are active, doctrinal, and governance actions that will have a direct ripple effect on local ministries. Make no mistake, this is the doctrinal strike zone of the convention. The actions you take here will directly shape the theological boundaries and the pastoral care provided in your home district for years to come. So, as you prepare to cast your votes in Phoenix, keep this central question echoing in your mind to ensure your decisions serve both the outward gospel witness and the local parishes back home. Are we building a castle to protect the institution, or are we advancing the kingdom by empowering congregations, pastors, and missionaries with clear confession and robust pastoral care? Let that question be your guide for Floor Committee 5. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and safe travels to the convention.